So, people freaking out about the bamboo slicer thing. Total freaking nothing burger over here. This is like freaking out about Windows having the signed driver verification. Like, what about land slicing? Land slicing was so freaking crippled anyways that you can't even access your webcam over LAN. Now, I don't like the fact the printer's built that way, but it's pretty much useless unless you're going for cloud-based slicing or going straight to the SD card. SD card's never been affected, and here's the thing, if everything you do, including your camera, is going to be running through a cloud service, I'm not going to complain about an update that's preventing a third party from snooping in on my information or slipping in some destructive code. And they've done the equivalent of adding driver verification that would allow you to run third-party drivers, or, as a direct translation, run something like Orca Slicer. It's not that much of an inconvenience. And then there's the aspect of, well, what about in 10 years when Bambu says they're not going to keep the servers up to verify blah 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 for this printer anymore? Well, guess what? At that point, they're not going to be making updates for the firmware, and that's going to be no different than when your phone becomes a couple years old, you put a custom ROM on it, or a custom firmware in your iPhone or whatever, so you could play emulators and all that good shit. Once they're not updating it, it'll be time for the community to take over. I'm sure somebody will figure out what the hell, which, you know, the security is going to get updated with the firmware. But when they abandon the printer, they're no longer updating the firmware, which means people can find a loophole and make their own firmware or whatever. Y'all are freaking the fuck out. Your printers are going to work just fine. They're not going to stop you from using them. And seriously, the worst they could do is make it where it's like, they're not getting rid of your SD card. This is nothing to throw a fit about. I don't know. I see people who don't know shit about 3D printers freaking out about this. Not a big fucking deal. Not a big fucking deal. I should not have this flash drive on this switching USB hub that goes to the other system. Are we outputting to main monitor? I probably shouldn't have started the virtual machine with this on my primary PC. I bid you adieu. Settle the fuck down.